Hello everyone, I'm ishitahjain from Fun to Learn, and today we are going to talk about the cell. First things first, we need to know what living and non-living things are. I know you all know this, but let's still go over the characteristics of living things. Living things move, they grow and develop, they require food and use energy, they have a definite lifespan. Wait, what does that mean? We know that definite means fixed, but what does lifespan mean? Lifespan is the time period of which a human body or the living thing is alive. So a definite lifespan states that every living being takes birth and dies. The next characteristic of living things is that all living things respire. The process of respiration is breaking down glucose with the help of oxygen. Let's not get into that. We'll learn that in another episode. The next characteristic is all living things excrete. Excretion is the process of taking out unwanted materials from your body. Then we have reproduction, which is the process of making new species of your kind to prevent your kind of going extinct. The next characteristic is responding to the stimuli. If someone pinches you, then you feel hurt, and that is responding to the stimuli. If you feel the climate around you, if you can hear what somebody's saying, if you have all five of your senses, that is responding to the stimuli. Last but not least, all living things are made up of cells. And this is the topic that we are going to be focusing on today. To understand cells, we must understand the cell theory. The first thing that the cell theory states is that all living things are composed of one or more cells. Some living things like bacteria, amoeba are composed of only one cell and are known as unicellular organisms. Whereas other organisms like human bodies, plants, and animals are made up of more than one cell and are known as multicellular organisms. The second thing that the cell theory states is that cells are the basic units of structure and function in living things. Why did I use the word units here? Isn't units used only for measuring weight or distance? No. I used units here because a cell is single, complete, and independent. In short, it is a unit. The third thing that the cell theory states is that new cells are produced from existing cells. New cells are made from pre-existing cells when an old cell splits. Now we'll get into the basic parts of the cell. The basic parts of the cell are plasma membrane, the cell wall, the cytoplasm, and the nucleus. First things first, we've got the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. It's the same thing, just two different names. The plasma membrane works as a barrier between the inner and outer surface of the cell. The first function of the plasma membrane is that it separates the contents of the cell from the outside environment, which is what I just said. The second function is that it protects the cell by keeping the harmful substances out. The cell membrane is actually semi-permeable, which means it allows only a certain kind of substance to enter the cell, which is how it keeps the harmful substances out. The third function is that it supports the cell and helps in maintaining the shape of the cell. Next up, we have the cell wall. The cell wall is only present in plant cells. This is because plants are immobile and they cannot move to a safe area during a storm, thunder, lightning. They can't move, right? That's why the cell wall works as an additional covering and provides protection, support, and shape to the plant. Now let's talk about the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm. But before getting into these, we have to know what the protoplasm is. And the cell is filled with a substance called protoplasm, which is also the living component of the cell. The protoplasm that lies in between the cell membrane and the nuclear membrane is called the cytoplasm. The protoplasm that lies inside the nucleus is called nucleoplasm. Now I know how this is confusing and all, but let's look at the world map for a bit. All the blue portion is water, but in the map you can see different names given to that water. The Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Indian Ocean and others. So if we take water as the protoplasm, the water that is in between North America, South America, Africa, and Europe is known as the Atlantic Ocean. Similarly, the protoplasm that lies in between the cell membrane and the nuclear membrane is called cytoplasm. The water in between the North America, South America, Asia, and Australia is the Pacific Ocean. Similarly, the protoplasm that lies inside the nucleus is called the nucleoplasm. So cytoplasm and nucleoplasm are just names given to the protoplasm based on its location. Now let's talk about the nucleus. In the previous slide, we saw that nucleoplasm is the protoplasm that is inside the nucleus. But what is the nucleus? The nucleus is the brain of a cell. It controls and coordinates the cell to carry out its metabolic processes like digestion, excretion, and respiration. The nucleus is made up of three parts. The nuclear membrane or the nuclear envelope is a double membrane which separates the contents of the nucleus from the cytoplasm. It works just like the plasma membrane. The second thing that the nucleus contains is chromosomes. The chromosomes contains DNA, which is your hereditary information and instructions for cell growth. It contains all of your genetic information. The third thing that the nucleus contains is the nucleolus. The nucleolus is present inside the nucleus and has the key responsibility to make proteins for the cell. There are many organs in our body, right? Similarly, if we take the cell as a body, there should be organs inside them too. And there are. They are called organelles. There are many organs which we have named. The simple organelles are the endoplasmic reticulum, the ribosomes, the mitochondria, the Golgi bodies, the lysosomes, and the plastins. Let's start with the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum are like folded networks of membranes that act like a road in the cytoplasm of the cell, transporting substances like fats and proteins. There are two types of ERs. ER stand for endoplasmic reticulum. There is the rough ER and the smooth ER. If I take my index finger and my thumb and rub them together, I can feel that it rubs easily and it's smooth. But if I put some sand in between and then I rub it, it becomes rough. Similarly, the ribosomes attach to a part of the ER which make it rough. Hence the name. Now let's talk about ribosomes. Ribosomes are the small round structures found floating in the cytoplasm, or they are attached to the RER, which is the rough endoplasmic reticulum, as we talked about in the previous slide. Proteins are produced by the ribosomes and they are packed by the ER. Now let's talk about the mitochondria. You might have heard that the mitochondria is also known as the powerhouse of the cell. Why is that so? As we know that our human body needs to breathe and it can't live without air. Similarly, the mitochondria performs that cellular respiration. This means it takes the nutrients from the cell, it breaks it down and turns it into energy. This energy is what we call ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Hence, it is called the powerhouse of the cell. Now let's talk about the Golgi bodies. The Golgi bodies are used to transport, modify, and package the proteins and lipids into the vesicles for delivery to targeted destinations. What does this mean? The Golgi bodies modify, package the proteins and lipids, which are the nutrients of the cell, into small containers and then deliver it to targeted destinations, which is the parts of the cell that need these nutrients. Hence, the Golgi bodies are also called the cell's mailroom since it performs all of these functions and it relates to our human life post office. Now let's talk about the lysosomes. The lysosomes are spherical vessels which contain hydraulic enzymes which can break down virtually all kinds of biomolecules. Since the lysosomes contain hydraulic enzymes and the cell itself is a kind of biomolecule, they are capable of destroying the cell that they are present in. So they are called the suicidal bags of the cell because as we saw in the cell theory, the third thing that it states is that cells come from pre-existing cells. And while the cell splits, these lysosomes can destroy the cell. Hence the name. Now let's talk about plastids. Imagine you are walking in a beautiful garden with which roses, hibiscuses, flowers, and other beautiful plants you see with different colors, different scents, etc. This is because of the plastids. Plastids are small organelles present in the cell of the plant. Plastids contain pigment or food. There are three types of plastids. We have the chloroplast, we have the chromoplast, and the nucleoplast. The chloroplast contains the green pigment that we call chlorophyll. And as you might have studied, chlorophyll is what makes the stem, the leaves green. The second type of plastid, chromoplast, provides different color for the petals. Then the third type of plastid we have is called nucleoplast and it contains oil, usually in the seed of this particular plant. Thank you for watching this video and I hope all of your doubts have been cleared, and if you have any questions you may send them to the email given in the description box and surprise your parents that you know all of this. Once again, subscribe, like and share this video. Thank you.